hope you are doing well and staying safe out there today. I wanted to make a DIY face mask video. So the DIY I'm about to show you can be used with regular fabric, but we ain't doing regular fabric today. We are doing something flashy. I'm trying to bring a little bit of style and happiness to these face masks. These masks that I'm about to show you are washable, but I would not recommend putting them in the washing machine. I would recommend hand washing. So I know we're trying to add a little bit of fun by wearing these face masks, but I want to say how very important it is to be safe and take the precautions needed and recommended by the CDC to help stop the spread of COVID-19. It is a very serious issue and we should all be doing our part in stopping the spread of COVID-19. So I personally have always loved the way that face masks look on people. It creates this really mysterious vibe. And I do go to a lot of music festivals. Well, used to. Haven't gone to any this year. If you've been to one, you know that there's a lot of dirt that gets kicked up. I normally end up getting sick after going to festivals, just being around so many people. So now I am showing you all a face mask that can be worn to kind of like accent your outfit and something that just doesn't look like the boring accordion masks. We're all living through some really crazy times now, and though COVID-19 is no joke, I think it's okay to have a little bit of fun with the face mask and show off your style. With that being said, I hope you all are well and being safe. We're all in this together, and I really do think that we will come out even better on the other side. Today, I'm going to show you two different styles that me and Mama Quake came up with so you can try and kind of, have a little fun with your face masks. So I'm going to show you the basic face mask that we will be creating. You can use any type of fabric here. The thicker the fabric, the better. And you can also double up fabric to prevent anything from getting into your mask. I'm just using what I have on hand from my little stockpile of fabric. I am using white, but I would recommend using a darker color since it's up against your face, a lot of makeup, lipstick, it'll get dirty really quick. You're also going to need some sort of elastic. I've seen other people use hair ties for this, which I think is an ingenious move. And then for the really fun fabrics that are just going to be the icing on the cake. These are all fabrics that I had previously, but I'm sure you can find them online. So I'm using this really cool purple sequence fabric. I'll also be using this other fabric to act as an accent. You can create a mask using this whole thing, but I thought it was going to be a little too much. So next up, you want to get your patterns prepped and cut out. I am using a pre-existing pattern already. I did not create this one. I will put a link in the description to where you can find this. And this pattern does have the little insert where you can place the filter inside. So it has the little pocket. Next up, I'm going to grab the fabric that is going to be on the outside of the mask. We are folding it in half. Then I'm going to pin down this pattern. You can draw it on if you don't want to pin it down, but I just wanted to pin it down to show you. Make sure to place it on the fold, listen to the pattern directions, and cut out that piece of fabric. Now grab the smaller triangular looking shape pattern and cut this out as well. You do not need to fold it here if you are using two different fabrics for the outside and inside, but you will be cutting out two of these depending on if you're using the same fabric for the outside and the inside of your mask. Last but not least, fold your fabric again, place the pattern on the fold, and cut out that piece. So next up, we went ahead and grabbed some bias tape. You can create this on your own using the same fabric. You just gotta fold it and iron it down. That's actually what we did for this project. So now you're gonna face the front portion of the mask with the back portion of the mask. Make sure that they line up and everything matches completely. Grab the back portion of the mask. The inside portion is a smaller piece, and we're going to fold it 1/4 of an inch and pin it down. Then you're gonna take that to your sewing machine and sew it down. Now grab the two other separate smaller pieces, and we're going to do the same thing, fold it 1/4 of an inch on the larger side and sew that down. So now you should have 3 pieces. We're going to place them out and line them up so that all the curves match up. So once they're matched up, grab those 3 pieces and place it on top of the larger piece that is the front of the mask. Make sure that everything lines up and use the front portion of the mask as a guide so that you have the front and back pieces the same size. So once you have those attached, pin them down, and we're going to fold those 3 pieces together. And what you want to do is you want to find the center of the mask. So I am just using a needle to mark the center of this only on the bottom. So now grab the triangular piece that is going to be used on the outside of the mask. You're going to fold that in half as well. Place a needle to find the center, just like you previously did. Open up both of the pieces and place them on together, lining up the needles so that the center matches. Now you can remove the needles and you're going to pin down this whole bottom portion of the mask. This is going to act as the chin of the mask. So it's going to be like underneath the chin. And when you pin it down, make sure to fold it so that the curves line up with the other piece of fabric. So you should have something that looks like this. It's all pinned down. And what you're gonna do is take this to the machine and just sew it right along this line. So now that you have the chin attached, we are going to sew down the nose portion, and you're going to fold it inwards. You can pin it down if you want, but you're just literally going to sew it right where the nose is. So now you can kind of see the shape forming. You have the little pouches right here, and all that's left to do is attach the larger piece that will be the front of the mask. So do the same technique that you used to find the center, fold the larger piece in half, grab a needle to mark the center. Do the same thing for the triangular piece. Open up both pieces once you've found the center, line them up and pin it down so that it follows the curves of the mask. Sew it along the line, and now you're ready to place your two mask pieces together. Next, you're going to make sure that they line up completely and pin them together. We're going to grab our bias tape now and use this to attach the two pieces together. So that is the basic tutorial of how to construct this mask. But since we're going a little bit extra before I sew down the bias tape, I want to add a little bit of flair. So I'm grabbing my larger sequence fabric, and we're going to be using this as an accent. So I went ahead and cut a strip that is long as the mask, and we are going to attach this and sew it along with the bias. So for the sequence, you can leave it as long as you want, as short as you want. You could even crinkle it so it doesn't hang or anything. So for mine, I ended up doing 2 rows of sequence. I only wanted it to be like just near the eyes. So as you can see, I went ahead and sewed on the bias tape, attaching the sequence to this. Next up, we're going to fold the edges about 1/4 inch, and this is where your elastic is going to go through. So if you have a hair tie that you're using, something that's already closed, now is the time to insert it in place, and you're going to fold over the end and sew it down. If you're using elastic, you can add the elastic after. Just make sure to leave the opening as wide as whatever elastic you're using. So measure out your elastic pieces based on the length of your face. You may have to do a little bit of adjusting here, and I just went ahead and grabbed a little pin here to help me pull the elastic through. Once you have the elastic through, tie it off in a knot, and then you are done with your face mask. So after I completed this face mask, I actually had a bright idea to add more decorative fabric, because the white was just a little too boring for me and I wanted to switch it up. So I'm grabbing this metallic sequence fabric that I had. It might look familiar. I used it in a previous DIY, and I am measuring the length of the mask and cutting it out so that it can hang. So I was kind of just messing around here and seeing what works. I ended up placing the fabric underneath the sequence and tacking it down by hand so that it could kind of droop a little bit. Then I ended up cutting the length a bit, and it kind of reminded me of a genie. So I would not say that this one is ideal to wear out when you go to the grocery store, even though you will be looking fabulous, only because the fabric is hanging and it touches, your chest, and it could touch things as you're leaning over and touch your clothes and stuff. So if you're gonna be wearing something like this out in public, that is for protection, not for a festival, I would say to just scrunch that fabric up and make it look like an accordion, just so you don't have anything hanging. I definitely think I'm going to be doing that with this face mask, but I thought it was so fun to wear with a skirt that I actually made. DIY right here if you want to make it yourself, but I did feel like a genie. I'm the Quarren genie. So next up, we are going to work on the smaller sequence fabric, and you are going to use the same tutorial steps as you did for this mask. Next, I'm grabbing my purple sequence fabric and grabbing the template for the front of the mask, folding that, making the sequence touch on the inside so it's easy for me to draw onto it, placing that on the fold, drawing on it, and cutting it out. Place it on top of the black fabric that's going to be used for the outside of the mask. Pin down both fabrics together, and you can approach this the same way as the previous mask by folding it, sewing it, inserting the little elastic and everything, but we found that cutting it and just adding the bias on the end works just as well. So we just ended up using the black fabric for underneath the chin portion, the little triangle portion. And since this fabric is a little thicker than the previous fabric, once we created the mask, we noticed that there was like a gap right here. And you want to make sure that your mask doesn't have any holes. You want it to be snug against your face. So what we ended up doing is we still created the loop that goes around the ear, but I added another piece of elastic that attaches to the mask and goes around and sits on the back of the neck. So what I would recommend here is using Velcro or tying it together to tie it in the back, because this really does pull the mask back on your face. I mean, I know we all have different faces and it sits on the face differently, but when you wear the mask, it is so important to keep it snug without any holes. I really do love the way that this one came out. So before you wear your masks, make sure to add in a little filter where the little pocket is, or you can also add another thicker type of fabric. I'll put some links in the description on what fabrics are recommended for face masks and for actual protection. So now that you have these super cool face masks, I wanted to go over some details on how to care for face masks and how to properly wash them. While you're wearing your face mask out in the public, make sure to not touch it on the outside. You don't want to readjust it. You just want to minimize any touching of the mask. Once you get home and you're done wearing your mask, remove it from your ears, and you want to place it in the wash or in a sink where you are going to wash it. Now, since these face masks are created out of delicate fabric, I wouldn't recommend throwing them in the wash. You can probably get away with throwing them into the wash on a very light cycle. But if you would like, you can also hand wash these. Just make sure to take all the precautions, washing your hands. Do not touch your face when you're washing your mask, and scrub with warm water for at least 20 seconds is for the hand washing. So I would just wash these for a couple minutes, making sure to get underneath all the sequins and kind of just, having a lot of fun with it. Hang them out to dry. I don't think that they will do well in the dryer, but they can air dry. And then they're now ready for another use when you go out into the world. I hope this tutorial was helpful in such a crazy time, and I really do hope that you try and attempt your own designs and making these masks fun and just expressing how you feel. Because when people are wearing masks, it's really hard to connect. You can't see their whole entire face. So let's let this face mask be a safe way for us to express ourselves out in the world while we're all doing our part in trying to stop the spread of COVID-19. Thank you all so much for watching. My name is Tiffy. I have a ton of other DIYs on the channel if you're interested in checking them out. And I will see you guys very soon. Love you. Stay safe. Bye.